I stared at my phone in disbelief. There they were, my husband, my children, my in-laws, all smiling on a white sand beach with cocktails in hand. My son's caption, "She won't even notice we're gone, LOL." After 25 years of marriage and 2 children, I thought I raised right. This is what my 50th birthday amounted to. Forgotten, or worse, deliberately left behind. For weeks, my husband Mason had been acting strange whenever my upcoming 50th birthday was mentioned. Not bad strange, but secretive strange. Whispering on the phone, closing his laptop when I walked into the room, exchanging knowing glances with our kids, that sort of thing. My daughter Riley, who's 20 now and in her 2nd year of college, kept giving me these little smiles and saying stuff like, "Mom, you're going to love what's coming for the Big 5-0. Even my son Owen, 23 and usually too cool to care about family stuff, was dropping hints. "It's going to be epic, Mom," he'd say with a smirk, before returning to whatever was happening on his phone. I'm not going to lie, it got me excited. 50 is supposed to be a milestone, right? A half-century of life deserved some recognition. I didn't expect anything crazy expensive because we're not that kind of family. We're comfortable, but not rolling in it. Riley's college tuition takes a significant chunk of our savings, and I had just helped Owen with the down payment on his first apartment last month. That was $4,000 I didn't really have to spare, but that's what moms do, right? All the secrecy had me thinking maybe they were planning a surprise party. Mason kept telling me to be patient whenever I tried to fish for details. "Good things come to those who wait," he'd say, with that smile that still made my heart skip after 25 years of marriage. My father-in-law Sebastian even called me out of the blue last week, something he never does unless he needs Mason to help with something at his house, just to ask what day I was taking off for my birthday. "I requested this coming Tuesday off," I told him, wondering why he suddenly cared about my work schedule. Sebastian had always been particular. He never thought Mason had married up enough, and while he never said it directly, his little comments about our modest house or my reliable but aging car made it clear what he thought. To him, reliable was code for not successful enough for my son. The morning of my birthday arrived, and at 6:15 a.m. my phone rang. It was my boss, Janet. "Ella, I'm so sorry to do this to you, but we have an emergency with the Henderson account. The presentation got moved up, and the client specifically asked for you. Is there any way you could come in?" I sighed. This always happened. In 15 years at the marketing firm, I'd become the go-to person for client emergencies. Reliable Ella, always willing to step up. Usually, I didn't mind, but today was different. Today was my 50th birthday. "I'll be there in an hour," I said, already calculating how to rearrange the day. I could still be home by dinner, which was probably when they had planned the surprise anyway. I called Mason from the car to tell him I'd be late but would definitely be home by dinner. "That works out fine, actually," he said, sounding distracted. "See you later." He hung up quickly, before I could even remind him what day it was. I spent my birthday dealing with a demanding client and a presentation that could have waited another day. No one at work even knew it was my birthday. I didn't mention it because I'm not that person, and honestly, I was looking forward to whatever was waiting for me at home. I even stopped and bought a bottle of the good wine on the way back. Figured I deserved at least that much on my 50th. At 5:53 p.m., I pulled into my driveway. No extra cars parked outside, so much for the surprise party theory. The house was completely dark, which was weird but not alarming. Maybe they were hiding? I turned my key in the lock, pushed open the door, and called out, "Hello, I'm home!" Silence. The house was empty. No decorations, no cake, no husband, no kids, not even a note on the counter explaining where everyone was. I checked my phone. No messages. Called Mason, straight to voicemail. Called Owen, same thing. Texted Riley. Nothing. By 7:30 p.m., I was sitting alone at my kitchen table, staring at that unopened wine bottle, wondering if there had been an accident or something. I called the local hospital. Nothing. Called Mason's sister Hazel. No answer. At 8:14 p.m., still alone on my birthday, I opened my wine and poured a glass. That's when I decided to check Instagram. I don't post much, just follow the kids to see what they're up to sometimes. And there it was, posted 3 hours earlier. A photo of my entire family: Mason, Owen, Riley, Sebastian and his wife Violet and Hazel, all smiling on a white sand beach, cocktails in hand, at some fancy resort I'd never seen before. Owen had captioned it, "Family vacation mode activated. She won't even notice we're gone, LOL." She won't even notice. The comments were worse. Mason had replied with a laughing emoji and, "So true." Hazel added something about workaholic wives not appreciating the finer things. Riley at least hadn't commented, but there she was in the photos, sunglasses on, looking like she was having the time of her life. I sat there for I don't know how long, just scrolling through more photos they'd posted. Group dinners, jet ski rentals, selfies by the pool, all time-stamped and geotagged to a resort I'd never even heard of, starting 2 days earlier. Remember that Alanis Morissette song about irony? Well, it's ironic that for years I felt guilty about working too much, missing school events sometimes, being tired on weekends, all to provide for these people. Riley's college fund that I'd been putting $500 into every month since she was born. Owen's apartment down payment that meant I couldn't replace my 10-year-old car this year, the mortgage I've never missed a payment on. The vacations I couldn't afford to take because someone always needed something more important. I don't know what kicked in. Shock, rage, or some weird sense of calm. But I didn't call them, didn't text, didn't comment on the photos, just poured another glass of wine and started thinking hard. First thing I did was check our bank accounts. Sure enough, $4,000 had been withdrawn from our joint savings account last Friday, exactly the same amount I'd given Owen for his apartment. Coincidence? I don't think so. I scrolled back through older social media posts and found Sebastian had been making comments about a special family trip for weeks. So this wasn't spontaneous. This was planned without me, planned around me, planned despite my birthday. By midnight, I'd gone from hurt to pissed to ice-cold calculation. I opened my laptop and started documenting everything. Screenshots of the posts, bank statements, a timeline of the lies they'd told me about my birthday surprise. See, here's something people forget about the quiet, reliable woman who just keeps showing up. We notice things, we remember things, and when we've finally had enough, we know exactly where all the bodies are buried. I spent my birthday night making a complete accounting of our finances. 25 years of marriage laid out in Excel spreadsheets. Who paid for what? Who contributed what? Who sacrificed what? The numbers told a story they wouldn't like. Around 2 a.m., I found something else. A credit card statement in Mason's email. Yes, we share passwords, or used to anyway, for a card I didn't know existed. $113,000 in debt built up over the last 3 years. Designer clothes, golf club memberships, lunches with Hazel that somehow cost $200 each, and recent charges from the resort they were staying at. Almost $6,000 so far. I'm not a woman who usually cries, but I'll admit I felt that pressure behind my eyes. Not sad tears, angry ones, wondering how I could be so invisible to the people I've given everything to. Morning came, and still no messages asking if I was okay, no happy birthday texts, nothing. Just more beach photos and a video of Owen doing karaoke with Sebastian. The tagline, "Mom would hate this LOL." I showered, went to work, came home, checked social media again. Day 2 of their vacation was in full swing. Comments from Mason's friends asking how the resort was. His reply, "Heaven! So nice to get away from real life for a while." Real life. That's me. I'm real life. The thing he needed to get away from. I poured another wine and made some decisions. First, I called my bank at 9 a.m. sharp on day 2 and rerouted my upcoming paycheck to a new account they set up for me. Second, I called my friend Audrey, who went through a divorce last year, and asked for her lawyer's number. Third, I started moving Mason's things to the guest bedroom. I wasn't being hasty. I was being methodical. Like when you discover termites in your foundation, you don't just patch over it and hope for the best. You dig down, find out how deep the damage goes, and decide if the structure is worth saving. On day 3 of their vacation, and day 2 after my forgotten birthday, I finally got a text from Riley. Just a casual, "Hey Mom, how's it going?" Like they weren't all at a beach resort without me. Like it hadn't been my milestone birthday. Like everything was normal. I didn't answer. An hour later, Owen texted asking if I could check if he'd left his laptop charger in his old room. Nothing about where they were. Nothing about my birthday. I didn't answer that either. By evening, the messages started getting concerned. Mason texted asking if I was mad about something. Riley called twice. Owen sent a weird message saying, "Dad's freaking out a little. Can you just text him back?" I didn't answer. Instead, I posted my first Instagram photo in months. Just me at home with a birthday cake I'd bought myself from the grocery store. No caption, no tags, just a date stamp. That's when the dam broke. The first hour after I posted that cake photo, my phone exploded. 17 texts from Mason, 8 missed calls from Riley, 3 voicemails from Owen. Even Sebastian texted, which was a first. I turned my phone to silent and continued my investigation. The more I dug, the worse it got. This wasn't just a spontaneous trip they'd decided to take. This was calculated. In Mason's email, I found flight confirmations dated 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks of planning, lying, and sneaking around. I found a group chat they'd forgotten to remove me from where they discussed what to tell me. "Just say it's a work thing," Riley had suggested. "Mom never questions that." Owen had replied with a laughing emoji, and "She's too busy working to notice anyway." My own children, my own husband. I printed everything, every message, every photo, every bank statement. I organized it all in a binder, color-coded and tabbed. If there's one thing I'm good at, it's organizing information. It's what made me valuable at work. Ironic that it would now make me effective at dismantling my marriage. The secret credit card was the worst discovery. $113,000 in debt that I knew nothing about. Our house was only worth about $380,000. We had maybe $200,000 in retirement accounts. This debt represented a significant portion of our net worth, hidden from me while I pinched pennies and drove a car with 180,000 miles on it. I pulled my credit report. Mason had opened 2 other cards in his name alone. The spending pattern was clear. Golf weekends with Sebastian, shopping trips with Hazel, expensive restaurants when I was working late. And this resort vacation, the most expensive yet. By day 4 of their trip, the messages had turned frantic. Mason's texts went from, "Are you mad?" to, "Please just answer so I know you're okay," to, "We're coming home tomorrow if you don't respond." I still said nothing. Instead, I made a spreadsheet of our entire marriage's finances. Who paid for what? Who sacrificed what? Who built what? 25 years of data points that told a very clear story. I had been the reliable foundation they all stood on while they enjoyed the view. I'd paid 60% of our mortgage for years because Mason wanted to invest in his brother's business ventures that never panned out. I'd covered 100% of Riley's college fund contributions, while Mason bought a boat he used 3 times before selling at a loss. I'd worked overtime for years to build our emergency fund, the same fund he'd just raided for this vacation. The numbers were stark, black and white, indisputable. On day 5, I got a text from Riley that broke me a little. "Mom, Dad says you're not answering anyone. Are you okay? We're having a great time, but miss you." Miss me? They hadn't even invited me. They'd actively excluded me. On my 50th birthday. I didn't reply, but I did check their location on the family tracking app we'd set up years ago when the kids were teenagers. They were still at the resort, still posting photos, still having the time of their lives. That night, I called my mother. She's 76 now and doesn't mince words. "What are you going to do about it?" she asked after I told her everything. "I don't know yet," I admitted. Yes, you do, she said. You're just afraid to say it out loud. She was right. I did know. I just needed to be certain, to have all the facts, to be sure I wasn't overreacting. So I kept digging. I found emails between Mason and Sebastian discussing investment opportunities that were really just ways to funnel money to Sebastian's failing business ventures. I found text messages between Mason and Hazel complaining about how boring I'd become, how I never wanted to have fun anymore. I found a draft email in Mason's account addressed to a divorce attorney from 8 months ago. He hadn't sent it, but he'd written it, considered it, saved it, all while I was working 50-hour weeks to keep our family afloat. On day 6 of their vacation, the tone of their messages changed. Mason's texts became angry. "This is childish, Ella. Answer your damn phone." Riley sounded worried. "Mom, seriously, are you okay? Dad's really upset." Owen was the most direct. "Dad says you're being manipulative by not responding. Are you trying to ruin our vacation?" Ruin their vacation. Their vacation that they planned without me. On my birthday. That's when I posted my second Instagram photo. Just my spreadsheets laid out on the dining room table. No caption needed. Within an hour, Mason called 17 times in a row. I let each call go to voicemail. His messages got increasingly panicked. "What are you doing? Those are private. We need to talk about this in person." I texted back one word. "When?" His response came immediately. "We're booking flights home. We'll be there tomorrow." I spent that night making my final preparations. I called a locksmith and had the locks changed. I moved half our joint savings to my new account. I packed Mason's personal items into boxes and stacked them neatly in the garage. Then I waited, calm and ready, for the confrontation I'd been rehearsing in my head for days. They arrived home in a flurry of suitcases and sunburns, bursting through the front door at 2:17 p.m. Mason had a key, but the new lock stopped him cold. He had to ring the doorbell like a visitor to his own home. I took my time answering. Let them stand there in the afternoon heat, still in their resort clothes, looking confused and annoyed. When I finally opened the door, Mason pushed past me. "What the hell, Ella? You changed the locks?" His face was red, partly from sun, partly from anger. Riley and Owen hung back, uncertain. They looked like children caught doing something wrong, which I suppose they were. "Come in," I said calmly. "We need to talk." The living room was set up exactly as I'd planned. The coffee table held 3 stacks of papers, bank statements, credit card bills, and social media printouts. On the wall, I'd taped a timeline of their vacation planning alongside my work calendar, showing my birthday clearly marked. "What is all this?" Mason gestured at my display. "Evidence," I said. "Evidence of what?" Riley asked, her voice small. "Of how little I matter to this family." That's when Mason tried to turn it around. Classic Mason. "Oh, come on, Ella. You're being dramatic. It was just a vacation." "On my 50th birthday," I said. "A vacation you planned for 6 weeks without telling me. A vacation you used our emergency fund for. The same fund I've been building for years while you spent money we didn't have on things we didn't need." I pointed to the credit card statements. $113,000 in debt I knew nothing about, Mason. On cards I didn't even know existed. His face changed then. The bluster faded, replaced by something closer to fear. "Mom," Owen stepped forward. "We thought you wouldn't want to come. You're always working and—" "Stop!" I held up my hand. "Don't rewrite history to make yourselves feel better. You didn't invite me because you didn't want me there. The group chat makes that pretty clear." I handed them printouts of their own messages. Riley's face crumpled as she read her own words. "Mom would just complain about the cost the whole time anyway." "I didn't mean—" she started. "Yes, you did," I said. "You all did. And that's fine. That's your choice. But now I get to make mine." Mason tried to regain control. "Ella, you're overreacting. It was just a stupid vacation. We can talk about the credit cards, but—" "No, Mason. We're way past talking." I handed him a folder. These are the divorce papers my lawyer prepared. I've documented every financial decision for the past 25 years, every contribution, every sacrifice, every lie. His face went white. Divorce? Over a vacation? Not over a vacation, I said. Over years of being taken for granted. Over years of being the reliable one while you played with our financial security. Over years of being treated like I don't matter. Riley started crying. Owen looked shell-shocked. Mason just kept shaking his head. You can't be serious, he said. I've never been more serious about anything in my life, I replied. I've spent the past week looking at our marriage from the outside, and I don't like what I see. I don't like who I've become. Someone so forgettable that her entire family can plan a vacation on her milestone birthday and think it's funny. I turned to the kids. I'm not angry at you. Not really. You learned this behavior from somewhere. I looked pointedly at Mason. But I am disappointed. I thought I'd raised you to be more considerate. Owen found his voice. Mom, we can fix this. We'll make it up to you. There's nothing to fix, I said. This isn't about one event. This is about patterns. Patterns that have been clear to everyone but me for a long time. I handed them each an envelope. These are letters explaining my decision in more detail. I'd like you both to leave now and read them. We can talk tomorrow if you want, but tonight I need space. Riley was sobbing now. Mom, please. Tomorrow, I said firmly. Tonight I need you to go. They left reluctantly, looking back as if they didn't recognize me. Maybe they didn't. Maybe I didn't recognize myself either. The old Ella would have accepted their half-hearted apologies. The old Ella would have smoothed things over. The old Ella would have put everyone else's feelings before her own. But that Ella was gone. Mason was the last to leave. He stood in the doorway, a mix of anger and confusion on his face. You're making a huge mistake, he said. 25 years of marriage and you're throwing it away over one vacation? I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw him clearly for perhaps the first time. No, Mason. You threw it away. One decision at a time, one lie at a time, one disrespect at a time. I'm just finally acknowledging what's already broken. Where am I supposed to go? He asked, gesturing at the boxes in the garage. That's not my problem anymore, I said, and closed the door. That night, my phone exploded again. Texts from Mason ranging from apologetic to angry to desperate. Calls from Riley and Owen. Even a message from Sebastian saying I was tearing the family apart. I turned off my phone and slept better than I had in years. The next morning, I woke up and made a single cup of coffee, just for me. The house was quiet. No one asking for anything. No one needing anything. Just me and my thoughts and the strange new feeling blooming in my chest. It took me a moment to recognize it. Freedom.